We're going to talk about business and the fact that Mississippi businesses are competitive in the world and they're doing exceptionally well. And what we're going to be talking about is how we're going to work on making sure that the young people that we're educating will be part of their future workforce and they're going to be competent and ready to go to work.
As you take a look at the upcoming legislative session, what priorities do you see for the state?
Well, first thing I want to do is pre-K and get our teachers' salaries up. But in addition to that, a lot of our state employees are undercompensated, and we've got a lot of work to do there. We've been meeting with MDOT on infrastructure and been meeting with others on health care and child protective services and a whole bunch of them. I've got a pretty good list right now.
This particular year of a term is always exciting because it's new and we get to hear from some different people and have new leadership at the state level this year in particular in so many of our different offices. So we're really excited about getting here to the Capitol and hearing from some of our state leaders, and we're so fortunate that we're able to have some of them talk to you today that have been a big part of things we've done at MEC. Our first speaker this morning is actually Senator Dean Kirby, who on Tuesday was elected as the President Pro Tem of the Senate. He is from Rankin County. He's an insurance agent. He's done a lot of different things through the years. But really I want to take just a second and talk about the involvement we've had with Senator Kirby in his time here in the state Senate since he was elected in 1992. So he's one of the longest serving members of the Senate. And he served in several capacities during that time frame. Most recently, he was chair of the Public Health and Welfare Committee. But prior to that, he was chair of what is the Senate Finance Committee, a committee that is very important to many of the issues we deal with at MEC. And quite frankly, I probably felt like I lived in your office when you were in that role, because we had so many things going on. Under his leadership, we found incentives to help boost tourism across the state of Mississippi and really help grow those opportunities. Under his leadership, he assured the reauthorization of the Mississippi Department of Employment Security, which was a vital part of what we had to do in order to protect and make sure that we had a department that was focused on workforce, providing jobs, helping people get what they needed. And at the same time, the legislation that he passed led to what today is created a strong trust fund at that department that has led to allow us to have the Mississippi Works Fund, the $5 million or so a year that goes into workforce training. So all that kind of builds on itself, and he was very instrumental in that. He was also instrumental in helping MEC work on legislation that was designed to improve teacher retention. So he's someone who understands the importance of making sure that we as a state are focused on things that grow our economy and help us move forward. Please welcome Senate Pro Tem Dean Kirby.
Wow. I guarantee you the introduction will be longer than the speech. And, you're right. I've this year been blessed by receiving the votes to be the Pro Tem of the Senate, and I'm truly honored. And I look forward to working with you guys very, very much. The Pro Tem is supposed to be the senator's senator, and that's exactly what I plan on being, and working well with the Lieutenant Governor in every way possible. Like I say, I'm going to be brief because there's some important people that are going to speak after me, and so I want to make it very brief. What we're presently doing is we're kind of pre-organizing. I'm not even going to say that we're organizing yet, but we're trying to. After tomorrow, our Lieutenant Governor will make committee assignments. I think that's not a secret any longer, and so we can really get to work. As he had told you earlier, we're going to hit the ground running and working and smiling, and we're going to have fun doing it. I appreciate you. I'm not going to speak long because I know you're running a little bit late, and I do see important people back here that are going to speak. So thank you very much, and I appreciate all that you've done.
We look forward to continuing to work with you and know that in past experience, the partner you've been with MEC and really excited about your new role. Just as there's a pro tem to stand in as necessary when the Lieutenant Governor needs him. The same happens on the House with the House Speaker Pro Tem. And just recently elected on Tuesday to serve that role is Representative Jason White. He represents several districts, Attala, Carroll, Holmes, Leake counties. As you know, in the House, you tend to have a few more districts that you may represent, but we're very excited about him in this role. He went to the Mississippi College School of Law, so he's an attorney who understands the legislative process. And that's very important because for the last 4 years, he served as Rules Chairman, but more importantly, he was very part of Speaker Gunn's team that worked on some key issues, such as our transportation initiative, to make sure that we begin to make progress toward funding our roads and bridges, a key part of what's happening. And we feel certain that as we go forward, that relationship will continue, and we look forward to working with you. So would you please welcome House Speaker Pro Tem Jason White.
Y'all don't panic. I have a few notes, but I'm going to be just as short as Pro Tem Kirby was. Thank you, Scott, for that introduction, and good morning to all of you, MEC, and welcome to your state capitol. I appreciate this opportunity to speak to you very briefly about what we're doing and what's going on here, and welcome you to the 2020 legislative session. We're starting a new decade. We're starting a new session. We're starting a new 4-year term. As many of you know, being involved in politics and connected, lots of new faces, not only in the House and Senate, but in your statewide leaders from top to bottom. And so we intend, from a House vision, to seize this opportunity while the fresh faces, while there's clean slates. We intend to move forward and not look back when it comes to moving our state in a positive direction. As Scott said, I do represent District 48, which I consider God's country. That's part of the big cities of Kosciuszko and Carthage in my district, but it's parts of Attala, Carroll, Holmes, and Leake counties. The Speaker and my colleagues in the House entrusted me this week on Tuesday with the Speaker Pro Tem position when they voted me into that. It's truly an honor for me to fill the position, and I look forward to working not only with my House colleagues, but with my senators on this end right above me, as well as all of our new statewide elected officials, including the Lieutenant Governor, who's arrived at the back of the room. I want to tell y'all, you being connected, y'all understand, most of you being involved in politics, y'all understand what the Speaker Pro Tem is, what that role is made up of. But in case there's somebody here who's new to it, I want to explain it to you in such a way that you as businessmen and women can certainly understand the difference in the Speaker and the Speaker Pro Tem. Now, some of you have been to the Speaker's office for private meetings with him, and you've seen his office is big, it's nice, it's even got a nice private bathroom in there. The Speaker Pro Tem's office used to be a bathroom. True story. But in all seriousness, I do look forward to supporting and carrying out the vision and direction of the House of Representatives as we work closely with the Senate in developing policy that is pro-business in every way. Issues that are important to you as our business leaders and community leaders in this state, you should be excited to know, and many of you do know, that the Speaker and the Lieutenant Governor intend to make this session and these next 4 years strictly about jobs and business. Yes, we've got a few other things to tend to, but our focus in the House especially wants to be on jobs and creating that right environment where you can expand and grow your businesses, make them thrive, give you the space to do that, and we want to get out of the way as best we can. Specifically, there are 2 issues. Many of you were involved in 2 summits that the Speaker held this past year, one on workforce development back in April of 2019, and then this past December, he held one on brain drain, on keeping our best and brightest here in this state and working at great employers like those represented in this room today. a great focus was put on those two issues, and we intend to take those ideas and the things and the synergy that came from that. A lot of smart people came together and put forward some ideas and policy issues that we think we can take and craft and start creating a better environment for you and your businesses. And just to tell you a little bit about how that process has worked in the past and tell you how serious the speaker is about those issues, he's done that the last couple of years. Like, for instance, 2 years ago, a growing problem in this state was the issue of human trafficking. And many of you maybe have dealt with this either through family members, employees, people in your workplace who've had family members dealt with it. But it was a growing, real problem even in our rural state here in the South and the Bible Belt in Mississippi. This issue of folks selling other people specifically for sex, drugs, ownership, those type things. The speaker got really interested in that. He held a summit on that issue. We brought people from all over the country in. Ideas were developed. People talked openly without fear of somebody going out and saying somebody was not talking conservative enough or somebody was talking way too liberal about how we could fix this. Smart people came together to try to figure out the problem and figure out the best way to fix it. And I will tell you, last year's session, we passed a bill, the House and Senate, the governor signed it into law. We are now the model legislation for human trafficking laws in the United States. And I'm very proud of that. And while y'all are not here specifically on human trafficking, I just tell you that to show you that those ideas that came from that summit ended up in positive policy and legislation that we were able to pass and put forward. And that's what we intend to do with workforce development and the brain drain issue, two issues that specifically impact you and your ability to deliver goods and services to the people of this state and this nation and this world. I thank you for the opportunity to be here. I'm proud to serve as your pro tem in the legislature over these next 4 years. I'm so looking forward to working with this man standing at the back of the room that's fixing to talk to you, Lieutenant Governor-elect Hoseman, for at least till 2 o'clock today, and Pro Tem Kirby. I do have to tell y'all, he came and presided over our chamber Tuesday to swear us in. And, you know, I'm going to remind my senators, at least for the rest of this session, that we trained him down there before we sent him down to them. But he also has a unique thing. He may be the only guy ever in history to serve in both the lower chamber, the House of Representatives, and the Senate in the same week, in the same government setting. So he's a well-rounded fellow, and we're looking forward to working with him on this end. Thank you for the opportunity. Congratulations on a great MEC Capitol Day.
Well, I don't believe our next speaker really needs a whole lot of introduction, but I'm going to take just a second to do that. Anthony mentioned before we left that this is a week that is one of probably the most busiest of our newly statewide elected officials in their lives, except maybe their wedding day. And I think Secretary Hoseman, who will soon become Lieutenant Governor, probably fits that mold very well. He's had a lot going on today, and we really appreciate the fact that he took a few minutes out of his time to come and speak to you. And the reason is we understand the value he has brought to the business community in his role as Secretary of State and what's ahead as Lieutenant Governor. You may recall he used his Y'all Business platform to really outline what was happening in communities, to give businesses the opportunity to see what was available and how they could succeed. He's also used that to focus on workforce development and how we get a workforce in this state that really is going to meet the needs that we have. But he also thinks about it from a much larger level as well. You know, he pushed and championed legislation that was passed to bring headquarters to Mississippi, provide incentives to do that. That's the type of thing that raises the per capita income in the state, which is so vitally important. And he also understands the value of our universities in working with local businesses to create research opportunities for those businesses here in Mississippi to use that research and to put it into commercial application for those businesses to be successful. It's been a great partner for us in his role as Secretary of State. And at 2 o'clock today, when he becomes our Lieutenant Governor, I know for certain he's going to continue to work with us and focus on those key things that's going to help drive Mississippi's economy and make us succeed. Please welcome our future Lieutenant Governor, Delbert Hosemann.
Thank you, and I hadn't passed one bill yet. Campaign was long, a year, and a lot of different things happened, and we worked really hard because I wanted to work hard for you. So I was out one day, spent all day shaking hands, talking to people, and we were running our commercials. I hope you liked the commercials. We were positive. I hope you liked them. And so we were out and on the commercials, and this lady comes up to me and she said, I love your commercials. I said, well, thank you, ma'am. She said, you're doing a great job. And I thought, oh, finally, I got in a vote, you know. I mean, I've been out all day and it's hot and sweaty and Lynn somewhere else in the state. I said, thank you so much. She said, yeah, you're the best state treasurer we've ever had. So next year she'll say you're the best Secretary of State we ever had. Whatever, I'm there. It's good to be with you, and I'll be brief as well. Appreciate Jason's remarks. We too are headed that way. I want to start by just telling you this last week, we have drags on our economy that are occurring. Sunday I was in Parchman in Unit 29, and the issues that are ongoing there, you read them in the paper. Significant economic issues. I was mostly worried about our boys that work there, our prisoners that work there, Highway Patrol that was there. The Unit 29 was partially destroyed, flooded, all the bedding and everything ripped up, and 30 prisoners injured, one died. A horrific scene we started Sunday off with. Those are things that we as a society need to have in place where we figure out who we are most concerned with being incarcerated and who we want to come back into your workforce. Now we're letting 5,000 to 7,000 of those people out a year. When I was at Secretary of State's office, I did a poll that we did, several of those, and you can see them on our website, but over 60% of Mississippi businesses, that'd be you, agreed that they would hire a nonviolent felon. I don't want them to learn violence when they're incarcerated. So to put that into perspective, 5,000, over the next 4 years, 5,000 people coming out would raise the labor participation rate by 1% in Mississippi. So it's an economic issue for me. So we have that. We have community mental health. We postponed the litigation that in December. Talked with the Attorney General. It was good to help us there. It comes up February the 15th. We'll be back in the middle of that, the community health issues that go along with that. I tell you that to tell you that we have issues that we need to, as a society, to decide that we're going to devote sufficient economics to make them work better. Obviously, there's litigation involved in at least one of them, probably in another one for much longer. But all of y'all recognize the fact that we have to devote some standards. I want to say one other thing about that. I go to these job fairs. I wanted to see how we were doing. I went to one at Whitfield. The mental hospital had one of the booths up there, and they had sheets out they were trying to hire employees to come to work for them. So I picked up one of the sheets. It was titled Environmentalist 1. That's the person that cleans up at Whitfield, and that's not necessarily, some of those individuals are not necessarily the most sanitary conditions. Cleans up, does the laundry there. I asked what the starting compensation was. Do y'all want to guess? $7.87 an hour. Gross, not take home. So when we go to look, just as we're in competition with you for people. Governor Bryant, Philip Gunn, Tate Reeves have gotten the economy, and the President of the United States have gotten our economy to such a degree that we can't compete with you. At Parchman, for example, they need like 1,800 people. I think they have 749 people working there. You know, we can't compete with you. So when we go about the first part of this session and whatnot, I want to address to make sure that, first of all, you know me, I cut my budget every year you hired me for Secretary of State. I cut my budget, cut it last year. I turned back $1.5 million from my state budget last year. I watched the pennies. We're going to watch them again here. But we're not going to be penny wise and pound foolish about state employees anymore. We can't do that. You won't get what you need from state government if you call the Secretary of State's office and get somebody that's paid $7.87 an hour. So we are going to do that. Now, on the positive part, we're going to fund pre-K this year out of the Senate. Hopefully, we're working with the Senate. I'm term limited, so they're probably not going to vote for me. But we're planting the seeds. When we start about education, you start when they're 4 years old, and we have a seamless education community that then exits at the time you are qualified to do the job you want to do. We're not a bunch of different fiefdoms. So we will aggregate those down, starting with pre-K. Our teachers are woefully undercompensated. And worst, to you and to me, they're under-respected. You remember back in the old days when I did something wrong at school and I had to bring a note home to mom and dad, first thing they did after some amount of belting was to ask me what I had done wrong. Now, if we send a kid home, they want to know what the teacher did wrong. So we'll see that these teachers that we want to retain, particularly in critical shortage places, those teachers are going to need your respect. They're going to need you to tell them how much you appreciate what they're doing. So we have this workforce development. Jason and I and the speaker are heavily involved in that and will be involved in that. I anticipate you will see many new proposals coming from both the House and the Senate on increasing our workforce development. Only 25% of our children are getting a college degree. That's the second lowest in the country. We need more college degrees, but the other 75% need a good paying job. And to do that, they're going to have great skills. Those skills will now start to accumulate not just at a community college, they will start in the 10th and 11th and 12th grade. You will see us push the 13th year of college into our high schools in Mississippi. Now, the last part of this is so important. Your state government, and I was in the private sector for many years, ran my own company, ran my own firm. State government cannot answer all of the calls. Every time we have a tornado, just to give you an example, I'll go to these tornado sites and whatnot, and you'll see First Baptist Church of somewhere up on the roof, Catholic Church of somewhere else, Pentecostals are serving food. You'll see all these people come from all over to help people that are in trouble. MEMA does its part, we do our part, but we can't do it all. So what I'm going to ask each one of you is to just do one thing for one of our kids. Just one. Get them to shadow you. You're important. You're a leader. You're successful. They're going to look up to you. They may not have anybody else to look up to. You may be the very first one. Get involved in your schools. Give them your equipment. Give them a summer job. Tell that teacher how much you appreciate them. Go talk to them. Speak at their seminars. Have them out by your place. Anything you can do to just do one thing. If each of us just does one thing, we'll improve Mississippi exponentially. So I would ask you and ask the MEC, who is the leaders of business in Mississippi. You're the ones that we look to for statistical information, to workforce. What do y'all need? How can we help? And we can only do so much. But as a group, we can do so much more if we just all do one more thing. So do one more thing, you'll feel better about yourself, and we'll feel better about our wonderful state. I am so looking forward to working with you in the future. They're going to take me upstairs here and put me in a bigger office. I don't get the bathroom, I don't think. Jason got it. Dean Kirby is going to be an excellent asset to Mississippi. He is the senator's senator. We will name committee chairman on Friday morning, promptly at 10 o'clock. I and our staff have spent hundreds of hours looking at these committee chairmen. We look at them because of their abilities, which are very good. We've got a great group of young people coming, y'all. You're going to be really impressed with these people. Not only what their capabilities are, what their needs are, what they want to do, but what you need them to do. What does Mississippi need you to do? So you will see some that maybe are outside of what you might have thought, that person will be heading that committee. It's because, in my judgment, which you hired me to do, that's the best person Mississippi needs today. So, come on back after Friday. We're going to start work promptly on Friday morning. I'm so appreciative of all MEC does for us. And thank you so much for having me today. Y'all work hard. We're looking forward to having a very prosperous new year. You'll see everybody that develops policy will be here at MEC. Mississippi Economic Council is the leadership team for business. They are our Chamber of Commerce for the state of Mississippi. The people that are here really employ tens of thousands of our Mississippians. It's important to us from the governmental side to be here and listen to what their needs are, like workforce development, and you'll hear a lot of discussion about that today. But they have been champions for moving the state forward. They provide not only us guidance, they provide us white papers, ideas on how to proceed, legislative agendas. MEC is just a critical aspect of Mississippi's economy.
Final question, Mississippi prisons are in the news. What do you feel needs to be done regarding this issue?
That's about an hour and a half interview. I'm going to tell you, I went to Parchman this last week to see for myself. I went into Unit 29 where we had the riots. Pretty much destroyed in the inside and blood on the walls. I mean, it was a horrific event. So the first thing is to have our inmates, our corrections officers, our highway patrol is there, keep them safe and fed and medicines and what like that. And the governor's doing that now. Long term, none of this is going to be less expensive. So we're going to have to spend significant amounts of money that quite frankly, I'd hoped that we could devote to education, infrastructure, and other items. But it's clear to me after the last week that we're going to have significant expenses in the corrections industry. And how we do that is still up. We met with the governor's latest yesterday afternoon about that. So